My name is Dr. Abyss, and everything you hear or read here must remain here. We finally arrived on the Red Planet, but what we found here made me reconsider whether the price of human exploration was worth it. The Tethys spacecraft sliced through Mars's thin atmosphere, and through the window, I observed the desolate landscape of the Red Planet. The emptiness of that dead world was overwhelming, with vast stretches of rusty sand interrupted only by craters and canyons. Mars had a stark beauty, but it was impossible not to feel the insignificance of humanity in the face of that immensity. As we approached the landing site, I could see the massive bases of purple lagoons scattered across the horizon. Huge domes and metallic towers stood out, connected by corridors snaking like glowing veins under the pale Martian sunlight. The purple banner of the organization fluttered imposingly, reminding everyone who ruled this territory. Farther away, the bases of other organizations could be glimpsed. Gigantia, with its massive sturdy structures and shades of aqua green, and Red Dragon, with aggressive, futuristic designs and blood-red emblems stark against their black flags. There was a silent tension between these organizations. None interfered directly with the work of the others, but rumors of occasional sabotage were common. Coexistence was fragile, sustained only by mutual fear and the promise of devastating retaliation. The spacecraft landed with a jolt, pulling me out of my thoughts. Descending the ramp, I was once again overcome by the strange mixture of fascination and terror I always felt upon stepping onto Mars. It was my fourth time here, but the feeling of emptiness never changed. On the contrary, it had worsened. The tense journey had amplified my unease. The facilities of Purple Lagoon were colossal. Transparent domes housed internal gardens and laboratories, while autonomous vehicles traveled the roads connecting the sectors. The sound of ventilation systems and the creaks of metallic structures broke the planet's oppressive silence. Even with all the technology and protection, Mars always seemed to be waiting to swallow everything whole again. General Alex Gray greeted me at the main entrance, his posture as rigid as ever. His eyes assessed everything with military precision. "Dr. Abyss, we appreciate your presence, but I must be direct. The situation here is more delicate than we imagined." "General Gray, I have important information. During our trajectory, we encountered an alien spacecraft. I am certain it belonged to the servants of Anubis," I said, pausing to gauge his reaction, though he remained impassive. "I believe they are aware of something we are doing here." The general exchanged a quick glance with one of his assistants before turning back to me. "We already know. We received a message, a warning to be precise." I was taken to the communications room, where a recording was playing on an endless loop. It was a guttural sound, mixed with electronic crackles and what sounded like an extinct language. Thanks to my expertise in linguistics and my affinity with ancient languages, I managed to decipher the essence of the message. "Cease your research. You do not understand what you are awakening. If you continue, we will destroy everyone on the planet." My mind began working rapidly. This was not the first time such messages had emerged in the context of alien discoveries. I wondered what exactly they were studying on Mars that would have drawn the attention of Anubis and his servants. "General, what is this research about?" I asked, trying to conceal my growing frustration. "I cannot disclose that information, Dr. Abyss. I can only say that we are dealing with something monumental, something that could redefine our understanding of history and life beyond Earth." I took a deep breath, trying to contain my irritation, and insisted, "General Gray, I am not easily impressed, but what I witnessed during the journey convinced me we are dealing with something greater than we imagined. I received a message from an ancient god, and now we have evidence to corroborate it. I need your cooperation." Gray studied me for long seconds before relenting, albeit reluctantly. "Very well, but know that what you see here cannot leave this planet." We were taken to an excavation site, protected by layers of security and an impressive number of scientists and soldiers. As we approached, a colossal structure began to emerge in the distance. It was a gigantic pyramid, weathered by time but still imposing. "It can't be," I murmured, trying to absorb what I was seeing. The inscriptions covering its surfaces were familiar but also strange, like a fusion of Egyptian hieroglyphs and an alien writing system. Something about the architecture and the energy of the place made my skin crawl. I understood then and there that this was not an ordinary tomb. Inside, scientists worked frantically with futuristic equipment that, ironically, seemed rudimentary amidst the grandeur of the pyramid. There was a palpable tension in the air, every glance laden with fear and uncertainty. "This is the tomb of Horus," Gray revealed, or, as I prefer to think of it, the prison of an alien god-king. My heart raced. The connection between Egyptian mythology and alien beings had always been a theory, but to see such tangible evidence was overwhelming. "Have you opened the tomb?" I asked, dreading the answer. "Yes, and we paid a high price for it." Gray led me to an isolated area of the base where I saw a group of scientists and soldiers confined in decontamination chambers. They all appeared gravely ill, with dark spots covering their skin and cloudy eyes. "A disease was released when we opened the tomb," he explained. "It killed half the team before we managed to contain it. You were called to study this, Dr. Abyss. We need a solution before it spreads." I examined samples and data for hours, and one thing became clear. The disease was not just biological. It had an energetic signature that seemed to interfere with brain waves and human DNA itself. "This is not just a biological trap," I murmured. "It is a message. Someone wanted to ensure no one would touch this tomb. Not to protect a treasure, but to prevent us from releasing whatever is inside." Gray seemed to ponder my words before speaking. "We are dealing with something beyond our comprehension, but we are too deep in to turn back now." As I reviewed records and studied the disease's effects, I began piecing things together. The rivalry between the Egyptian gods moved away from what we understand as mythology. It was a war between powerful alien beings, now threatening to drag humanity into the conflict. Horus was not a dead king, he was a prisoner. A being so dangerous that his enemies preferred to bury him on a distant planet rather than risk his existence. Now, we were about to release him. I sat down to record everything in my journal. "If you found this record, know that my intention was never to harm humanity, but the choices I will have to make in the coming days could change everything. I do not know if I will survive to report the outcome, but I will do my best to keep this journal updated. We are facing knowledge that could transform humanity, for better or worse. The research could lead us to lost technologies and truths about our own existence. But if we continue, we risk awakening Horus. And what would the consequences of that be? What are the limits of the pursuit of power and knowledge? What are the limits of curiosity?